Welcome to Always Receiving Nur weekly Quran study. We are continuing with Surah 13, Surat, and without further delay, I'll pass the mic to Sister Yamina, who happens to be next to me physically today, and we'll inshallah continue our journey. Assalamu alaikum.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome back to Always Receiving Nur's weekly classes on Surat Ar-Ra'd. May we always be open to receiving the light of divine hidayah, divine guidance in this surah, inshallah, and may we live our life according to that guidance. May we embody that guidance, inshallah. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت خلقتني وأنا عبدك وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت أبوء لك بنعمتك علي وأبوء بذنبي فاغفر لي فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. So last week we reflected on the third and fourth ayat of Surah Ar-Ra'd, and just for reminding ourselves, I will go through the ayat, the meaning in English, and it was, I'll start from the first one, it was Alif Lam Mim Ra. Those are the ayats of the book, and what your Rabb has sent down to you is the truth, yet most people do not. Each running its course for a term set by him. He regulates all that exists. He makes the ayat clear so that you will be certain of meeting your Rabb. And the third one, and it is he who has spread the earth wide and placed on it firm mountains and running waters, and created thereon two sexes of every kind of fruit, and it is he who causes the night to cover the day. Truly, in all this, there are ayat for people who reflect. And there are in the land neighboring plots, gardens of vineyards, cornfields, palm trees in clusters and otherwise, all watered with the same water, yet we make some of them taste better than others. Truly, there are ayat in this for people who reason. And it's interesting that the third ayah, when it's talking about the earth being spread and the mountains being placed firm on it and the running waters, it says at the end, there are ayat, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ, so people who reflect, who stop and reflect. But in this, in the fourth ayah, it says at the end, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ, and it gives a very specific example. So it's specific, and it gives us a new way of reasoning, not only reflecting. Of course, this reasoning is going to happen when we start reflecting on the way things are coming into being, the way they interact with each other, the way creation has been set up. And so in the fourth ayah, last week, we talked about this same water but different taste. Fruits, they are all watered with the same water, yet they've been made to taste some better than others. And the point was that, at least to me personally, the first time I read that, it seemed to me naive, like, okay, we know it's the same water, but all the other elements involved are different, or so it seems. Like there are different seeds, and that's why there are different fruits. Of course, they will have different tastes, but this is the logic, the way of thinking of the unaware, of the ghafil, who never stops and reflects, as the first ayah, the previous ayah tells us. And so what we did is it really as naive? It can't be. Like, what's the wisdom in this? And so we thought, okay, let's apply this same logic to the growth of food, in this case, at all stages, at each stage. And it works because at the end we say, if we look at the physical makeup of food or other being, if you want, everything is basically constituted at the end of atoms and electrons. And even if we want to stop before that, we can say cells. Whatever we say, they are all going to be the same element. We can stop before that, and we're going to say that most living beings are made of mostly of water. So at any stage, if we come back to the bottom, it's going to be atoms and electrons. So they all have the same constituents. All the food, all being are made of the same constituents. The same ingredients are used to bring into being completely different beings, completely different products, different food, different fruits. And so then we realize that, yes, the ingredients may be the same, but the outcome is so different because they are arranged in a different way. So we concluded that the difference did not stem from the physical factors, the physical ingredients, but from non-physical factors, let's call them, because I can't find a better word, like order, combination, the way they are put together. And that requires choice, it requires purpose, therefore it requires a will. And that is indicated in the ayah itself, just in case we haven't. Actually, I personally noticed that word after this, after I applied the simple but like miraculous, like so insightful logic that this ayah is teaching us, that the same water, the same ingredients are used to produce, to bring about fruits and products and being that are totally different. The foods here, they all have different tastes. How can this be? And it says وَنُفَضِّلُ. نُفَضِّلُ here is we prefer, we made one, we choose to make one better than the other. And subhanAllah, you realize that there is choice here. The way that everything is made from the same ingredients, yet they have different tastes, so different that we choose one over the other because one tastes better than the other as far as we're concerned. This is an ayah itself that points to tafdeel, to that there is a mufaddil, someone who is choosing and creating on purpose. And we also reflected, there was a question related to, we make some of them taste better than others, and we said it was according to whom? According to me, and it may be different for someone else. So better here is relative to whoever is interacting with the food. So what is relevant here is not that one is better than the other, but that they all taste different, so much that we prefer one to the other. And this is an ayah to rububiyah, to an activity of our Rabb subhanahu. And after all these ayats, this were described in ayah 2 to 4, yet some people do not believe that what our Rabb, the Rabb of all these beings, all these activities, all these phenomena, the Rabb of the earth and the heavens. So this was ayah 2, 3, and 4 described to us all these ayahs in answer to the first ayah that said that some people do not believe in what our Rabb has sent down to Muhammad ﷺ, which is the truth. It says it is the truth, yet some people do not believe in it. How come? And in order to tell us how what is sent down is the truth, then our Rabb is giving us all the ayats, the evidence in the creation. And of course, the ayat of the Quran that are being sent down are talking about the ayat being sent down in the creation. Because the ayat in the creation, they are not sitting there waiting for thousands of years. Everything is constantly in motion, constantly, nothing is permanent, constantly changing. So they are ayat that are being sent here and now. And they are sent with truth, just as the Quranic ayat are sent with truth. And how do we know the Quranic ayat is sent with truth? Because here, in this Surat al-Ra'd, in this few ayat, it is sending us back to the world. Go and look. They are being sent with truth. They are made in a way that makes so clearly that they point to Rububiyyah, they point to their Rabb. And so as a consequence, so we are told that in the first one that although these ayat have been sent with truth, some people do not believe it. And more than that, they do not believe that there will be a life after that and that they will be created anew. This is what we are told in ayah 5 of this surah. And it says, وَإِن تَعْجَبْ فَعَجَبٌ قَوْلُهُمْ أَإِذَا كُنَّا تُرَابًا أَإِنَّا لَفِي خَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ أُولَئِكَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ وَأُولَئِكَ الْأَغْلَالُ فِي أَعْنَاقِهِمْ وَأُولَئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. So if you are surprised, that they did not accept that what has been sent down to you is the truth, although we made all the ayat clear, we're showing you everything in the creation, then what is more, if you are surprised, then what is more surprising is they're saying, what? How can it be that when we are dust, we will be created anew? These are the ones who deny their Rabb, and it is they who carry shackles around their necks. Such people are the companions of the fire, therein to abide. So in other words, these people do not acknowledge Rububiyyah in this world, or they do not recognize it as Rububiyyah. And so they do not believe in their Rabb. And therefore, they do not believe that they will ever meet their Rabb. So those who look at the world and see the ayat and reflect on the messages sent through them, through the ayat, this is what we've been learning through Surat Yusuf, through some of our teleconferences, and it is repeated in the Quran again and again. those who are aware that everything is an ayah, as we are taught in the Quran, and they reflect on the messages of this ayah. It's one thing to know that everything is an ayah, is another to actually live in the world with that awareness and reflect on the messages of these ayahs and live accordingly and realize that these people, they realize that they are actually the honored guests of a generous Rabb, a munificent Rabb. And they are certain that they will meet their Rabb. Why? Because they see his rububiyyah everywhere. They know that they are his guests here and now, so they have no doubt that they will meet him. There is no life without him. He's the one who sustains everything. So it's not like maybe we will meet him, maybe we won't meet him. It doesn't exist. That's why it says they will be certain. So in the second ayah of Surah Al-Ra'd, it says, God is he who has raised up the heavens without any support that you can see. And then he is established on the throne, and he has made the sun and the moon subservient to his laws, each running its course to a term set by him. He regulates all that exists. And this way, he makes the ayat clear. And why do we need the ayat to be clear? So that you will be certain of meeting your Rabb. So from this ayah, it is understood that being certain of meeting our Rabb is very significant. So I would like to invite you to reflect on why is this so important? How does being certain of meeting our Rabb transform our life, I'll give you more clues, our perception of our life here on earth? This is a question. Question to the audience. I'm asking you to reflect on this and maybe share something with us. Why is it so important?
I mean, if we are certain that we are going to meet our Lord, we will be making some preparations for that. Like, we will try to know Him better before we meet Him. I don't know if maybe a simple example, but when we will meet somebody important, like we may do some like search or investigation about that person, like to see what kind of things they like or they don't like, to have a better conversation with them. We have preparation sometimes, or to be able to know him better, like when we meet him. That's my opinion. Like in the first second, that's what I thought about.
Actually, let me, okay, more than that, because I'm talking about here and now. Actually, the Arabic is لَعَلَّكُمْ بِلِقَاءِ رَبِّكُمْ تُوقِنُونَ. It doesn't say you will meet him in the hereafter. That's more translation based on tafsir. Tafsir's commentator said, it says, so that you may be certain of meeting your Rabb. It doesn't say you will be certain. You may be certain. You will here, it does not mean future, necessarily. Of course, it does apply to the future. It is correct. However, the question is, how does it transform our perception, our life now, here? Let me say here and now. No one is sharing?
This is Esther. One thing that comes to me is that how it completely can change the way we see ourselves in the world. Like it's a shift between You know, you're walking down the street and you're not going anywhere, and you're walking down the street and you're going to meet someone. So even if it is a future reference, it completely changes the way you walk, because now there's a purpose to, and all of a sudden I'm not thrown in this world just to kind of go through the temporary pleasures and then the agony of separation. I'm here in this world, in this, yes, temporary world, but this is my appetizer, introduction to the eternal world. So it completely changes. It's like, again, a simple example, perhaps, but think of somebody who is really, really hungry and starving, and then you give that person a tiny bit of food, and that's it, and you tell the person that's it. That's without life after that. And then the other person, the second case, is that that person is starving, and you give him some bit of food and say, this is appetizer, just hang in there, the dinner is coming, and you can hear the sounds in the kitchen, the dinner is coming. It's a completely different way of experiencing the food there. And then that the same people are, the people are eating the same food, but one is eating with the sense of an appetizer, the other is eating with the sense of, this is it, and this is actually making me more hungry. And damn it, you know, like it's that sense of sadness and frustration. So if we can, I mean, the more I remember that I am meeting my Lord, then it completely changes as far as whenever I remember, the way I perceive the situation, and especially just this whole overall drama or experience of being in this world. It's so tantalizing and so passing, and there's beauty and there's, you know, shortcomings. It's a very, very interesting world that we find ourselves in, and it only makes sense if this is a stepping stone to meeting our Lord.
Can I add something? Assalamu alaikum.
Sure. Sure.
So, I think maybe it's also inviting us not to necessarily make this kind of disjunction between this world and the afterlife, which is there in other places, but like you said, I mean, it doesn't really necessarily point in this particular moment, in this particular place of the ayah, to the afterlife. It is simply an invitation to God. It is simply an invitation to God, perhaps also in this world, and perhaps it is through the experience of this world that God is inviting us to Him in this world as well, rather than to simply always project it into some kind of this world hereafter, time, space kind of division.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you so much. This is such a very, very important point, and Isra's gave examples was like pointing to that even when we think of it as the hereafter after death, it is going to transform my way of being in the world here and now. Now, so what Tahsin just shared with us is very profound, because when we are in the state of ghafla, we have a certain understanding or a certain perception of time and space that is actually erroneous the moment we question it, because it seems to us that my life is like a constant going on, like there is something I call time, I call my life. I was born, I'm here, and one day I will leave this world. And then after I will leave the world, then the akhirah starts, the hereafter starts. However, the truth is that all of us, our yesterday is not here, this morning is not here, yesterday, last week, last month, last year, a few years ago, our babyhood, our toddlerhood, our childhood, all have gone. They are not here. Life is not like waiting here until I die. So it's when I die, only that instant ends with my death. Actually, we are in a state of coming into being and in a state of dying. Unless yesterday, it's because yesterday left and died that today is here. So we're not carrying on all our life with us and suddenly life ends with death. It's a process, it's a journey of life. And that's why we say, Inna lillahi, we belong only to God, wa inna ilayhi raji'un, and we are in a state of returning. And usually that is translated because of that understanding as we will return. However, it doesn't say sanarji'u, which is we will return. It says, when ilayhi, we are to him, raji'un, which is we are returners, we are in a state of returning. It is the ism al-fa'il, the active participle. And that only makes sense when we stop and reflect. And in the moment we ask the question, it's very clear that I only am here now. There is only here and now, and that here and now is a flowing here and now. And so even if I say this means akhirah, that akhirah is the akhirah of this moment. So it's always, it's not after death, it's here. It's like this world, this life and the other one are parallel, and one is always pouring, flowing into the other. So that's why the hadith says that this world, this life is the mazra of akhirah, the seedbed or the field of akhirah. We are sending the products of our life constantly.
So does this also mean that we're meeting our Lord constantly?
We are or we are not, it depends. Those who see the ayat will see, will talk about it, because this is very, very significant, so much that I couldn't move because this is so important. Can you imagine? Because you will see when we read ayah 5 that it's those who do not recognize their Rabb, those who are not certain or deny meeting their God, their Rabb, not God, sorry about that. They're in a their situation is, how would I say, painful. It's not something we would like to be in. Yes? Yes?
Miserable.
Oh, miserable is a good word. Thank you. Yes, they've been a very miserable situation. Thank you. Yes, I like this. So we are here and now guests on a meaningful journey. When we are certain of meeting our Rabb, who are those who are certain of meeting their Rabb? Those who see the ayat clearly. They see everything that's happening in the world, everything that's happening to me, everything that's happening outside. Everything is ayat, speaking of God's purposes, of God's beautiful divine names, of His rububiyyah, telling us about how generous, how munificent, how compassionate a host He is. So we become aware that we're guests on a meaningful journey here and now, before the hereafter. It will be too late if I realize it then. And what will the ayat now, why will the ayat be shown to me now if I was going to see it only in, they are certain of meeting their Rabb now. They know that they will meet Him because now they are almost like at least for those who don't want to say that they are meeting their Rabb now. At least they are now always interacting with his messages, his activities. They are immersed in Rububiyyah activity. They know that they are being taken care of. So right now we are grateful, we are hopeful. And the worst situations we had said before does not pain us as much because first we know that it is transient, it is fani, and even if we may not be able to help it, to do something about it, and we can't control it, but we know that everything is under control, that our Rabb is taking care of everything. So we know that everything is happening for a reason, with meaning, with a good purpose. And also, I think Esra mentioned that at the beginning, there is accountability. We cannot live our lives irresponsibly. And this has consequences. For instance, you can't go around transgressing the rights of other beings, not only human beings, but all beings. All beings are sacred. And they are there for a purpose. So you have to uphold justice. You have to uphold compassion. And actually, you understand from other passages in the Quran that goodness, good, and ihsan, acting with compassion, emulating the divine names, is an organic, I couldn't find a better word, let's say an organic consequence of believing in a generous and giving Rabb. Yes? Like it's a, if you believe in a generous, giving Rabb, for instance, let's say take only generosity, so you automatically believe in abundance and in givenness, and it becomes easy to share with others because the source is infinite and I am being given all the time. Things end and new ones come. If there is no Rabb in my world, then there is no source of abundance, no source of riches, and automatically I'm going to believe in scarcity. And I won't be able to share. Not only I won't share what I have, I would like to actually steal what others have. My eye will be on other people's property. So, for instance, another example is in the Quran we told that only the humble, al-khashi'in, are steadfast in patience and prayer. It says, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. Seek help in steadfast patience and prayer, and this indeed is hard. It's hard for everyone except for the humble in spirit, except the khashi'in. Can you imagine? Like it says, you can seek help from God, but this is not easy for people. It's only easy for the khashi'in. So who are these khashi'in? The next ayah, this is in Baqarah 45, and the next ayah, Baqarah 46, it says, the khashi'in are those who, with certainty, who know with certainty that they shall meet their Rabb, and that unto him they are returning. Can you see how important this meeting our Rabb is? It says, الذين إلا على الخاشعين الذين يظنون أنهم ملاقو ربهم وأنهم إليه راجعون, and it's the same راجعون, always translated as they shall return, they will return. But as I said before, راجعون is they are returning, they are returners, they are in a state of return. It's the active participle of raja'a, to return. And so it is, they are returning, we are returning here now. If you have any doubt, just stop and reflect on your life. If you are 20 of age right now, 20 years have already returned, right now is returning, and so on. It's not like someone dies at age 90, 90 years doesn't return suddenly to God, to whatever. Yeah, it says ilayhi, to their Rabb. it is not easy to, it's easy to understand maybe when we stop and reflect, but it's not easy to digest and to live life accordingly unless we make it our, we work on it, we pray and reflect continuously and start seeing the ayat. And we said seeing the ayat means that we are aware that everything is passing. And that's only possible when I realize that I am always in a state of returning. Because otherwise I will think that, because we project everything on ourselves. If I think I'm stable, constant, permanent in this world, then it seems like most things are permanent, some things are changing, but it's not true. Everything is always changing, and so am I. And just in case we didn't get the importance of being certain of meeting our Rabb, then Ayah 5 of Surat Al-Ra'd explains to us the miserable situations of those who do not believe in their Rabb, and those who do not pay attention or do not pay heed to the ayat. And it says in the 5th ayah, at least this is the English rendering, inshallah. And if you are surprised, then what is more surprising is they're saying, what? Can it be that when we are dust, we will be created anew? These are the ones who deny their Rabb. So the others, they see the ayat and they are certain of meeting their Rabb, or at least this is why Allah says, I'm making the ayat clear, so that you may be certain of meeting your Rabb. But those who deny their Rabb, it is they who carry shackles around their necks. Such people are the companions of the fire. What's amazing here, it says it is amazing that someone does not see Rububiyyah activities all around them, all around us, although the evidence is made accessible to us to observe. It's not like something I have to have faith only. Yes, I have to have faith, but this faith is based on something I can see, I can observe. And although the ayat have been made clear in the world, so that those who reflect, those who think, those who reason, can witness them, they can witness that there is a definite purpose in everything happening, that everything speaks of their Rabb, that we're being taken care of that He's being taken care of us, let's say. Sorry about this. He says, this is amazing, but what is more amazing is that these people, they actually refuse to believe in individual resurrection. It's interesting, I'm inviting you to stop and reflect, because to me, when I first read it, it seemed it was the other way around. Like, to believe in resurrection seems harder to believe. But here it's saying, no, this is what is even worse is that they refuse to believe in resurrection. And because if these people do not deny the existence of God, we may call them mushrikeen, but I don't want to call them mushrikeen and put them label them and put them in a box and say, oh, I have nothing to do with them. I am not a mushrik, because the mushriks don't know that they are mushriks. They genuinely think that they are believers because they believe in God, and that's why Allah is speaking to us in the Quran, saying you could be a mushrik and not be aware of it, because the whole thing is, if you are not aware, by definition, you are not aware. You don't know. So it is inviting us to live life more consciously and start reflecting and questioning our beliefs. And so here it's saying like, because normally if someone believes in God and God has created the universe and everything in it, then if God has created the universe, I'm not saying he did create, but has created, he is creating right now, then he obviously has the power to recreate life again and again in a new act of creation. And he actually does create every being, every phenomena again and again in new creations here and now. And when I said new creation, it's in the Quran, خلق جديد, I thought of the butterfly. What is it? Well, before it's a butterfly? Caterpillar. Look at the caterpillar and then the butterfly. That's خلق جديد. That's a new creation. Look at us when we're babies and as adults. So in the first time, what I thought was, oh, not believing that whatever Allah sent to Muhammad is the truth is one thing. Okay, that's surprising. But why should denying resurrection be even more surprising? Let's put it the other way around. It means accepting resurrection is easier than accepting that whatever has been sent down is the truth. First, when I first read it, I said, how is it like believing in resurrection is not that easy? However, you see here it's all about Rabb. It doesn't say God, because these people think they believe in God. Actually, what they do is they do not deny God. But not denying the existence of God does not mean that we believe in God. Because here they believe that in the existence of God, but deny His rububiyyah. His being the Rabb of every single being, here and now. That's very important. This constant coming into being. Remember, that's the only way I can see the ayat, by seeing that everything is constantly coming into being, leaving, new ones coming. That's the only way I can see that everything is speaking through motion, through the way they change. And through that impermanence, I find the permanent realm. I find my Rabb, and I find the permanent divine names. And so the one who believes in his Rabb is the one who sees the ayat. The one who sees the ayat is the one who is aware of the constant flow of being. So he's aware that things are brought into being again and again and again. It means nothing can sustain itself or its existence. It means everything is in need of being sustained continuously, every here and now. And just in case you are not, you're doubting, look at yourselves. Let's look at ourselves now, our breathing. Can I just collapse right now? Indeed, I can, because I cannot make sure that I will breathe breathe again the next minute. I cannot sustain my own breathing. Yet, it is being sustained. There is a Rabb that is being taken care of. My blood cells, our blood cells, they are being cleansed. I have no idea what's going on. Only when there is an illness, we go and they say, oh, there are toxins, there is this and this, that's why you are ill. All the rest of the time, how is it being taken care of? That's rububiyyah. Someone is taking care of all these things, sustaining this existence, doing the cleansing, everything, taking care of everything in a most compassionate way, most generous way, most beautiful and perfect way. So the believer who believes not only in God, but in God as Rabb, that Tawheed in Rububiyyah, sees the ayat in everything, in that cleansing, in my breathing is an ayat to his Rububiyyah, to his power, to his being the giver of life. The one who denies Rububiyyah, the one who doesn't see Rububiyyah, of course won't be able to accept resurrection, because he's not aware that everything, every moment, everything is, let's say, in a way we can say resurrected again and again. Sometimes it's similar, and sometimes it's a completely new creation. And it looks similar, and then suddenly you see that the baby became an adult, that the caterpillar became a butterfly, that the bud became a rose, that the seed became a huge tree bearing fruit. So you see the khalqun jadid every here and now, and that's why it says, you know what, there is something even worse. These people don't even believe in resurrection. The first time when I read that, that's harder to believe in resurrection. And then when I thought about it, no, not if you believe in, if you know God as your Rabb. That should be the most, I don't want to say natural, like the most natural in the sense that it should come naturally. That's the easiest way, because there is no, it's so easy. You know that he is creating again and again. And so death becomes just part of the journey, because we died how many times? You know, we have pictures of our childhood and think, where are they? Where is Yamina as a child? And it happened so smoothly, so compassionately, with so that, like, just like it says, he brings the day from the light and day from the night, and the night from the day. And so is it, he brings the one day older Yamina from the previous one, and again and again and again. Each one is a new creation, but we only realize it after 20 years. But the one who is always reflecting says, Subhanallah, whoever is creating this right now, whoever is sustaining my breathing right now, he is ala kulli shayin qadir. He is powerful over all things, and he is doing it. I'm seeing it again and again and again. Why should I doubt it? So you see that indeed believing in resurrection should come before the truth of anything. If someone truly believes in his Rabb. And I invite you to go back to our teleconference in January, when we talked about how, when we are in a state of ghafla, when we are unaware of the transience of this world and the being in this world, and we live as though this world is permanent, and as though activities were not ayat, as though they were happening. This is how the world is. Which means when we live with no knowledge of God, and just because we don't deny his existence doesn't mean that we know who he is. We don't know him as our Rabb, as our host, and therefore there is no emotional attachment, no love for our Rabb, and so no longing to meet, no meeting and no longing to meet him. And then we remain unaware of the meeting of the hereafter. In Surat Al-An'am, there is a very beautiful passage starting at ayah 21. Yeah, Surat Al-An'am is Surah 6, so 621. And I'm going to go from 621 to 623, 24. So maybe if you're using Islamicity, go to Surah 6 rather than just write 621. Go to Surah 6 and go down to Ayah 21. And it says, and who could be more wicked than Adlamu? ومن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا أو كذب بآياته إنه لا يفلح الظالمون. So who could be more wrong, let's say, or than he who slanders God or gives the lie to his ayat? Slanders God because when we are unaware that everything is his creation, that's a slander, unintentional. When we don't like something and say this is bad and this is, we're slandering without even realizing, because we don't know. But we don't know that we don't know. That's the worst thing. Unawareness is that we don't know that we don't know. Verily, such wrongdoers will never attain to a happy state. Just in case you want to be happy in this world, it's saying this route doesn't take you to happiness. For one day we shall gather them all together, and then we shall say unto those who ascribed, who committed shirk, where are those beings? Where are those? أين شركاؤكم? Where are your partners, your objects of shirk? In their confusion, they will only be able to say, Wallahi, by God, our Rabb, they know. They say, Wallahi, Rabbuna ma kunna mushrikeen. Our sustainer, we were not mushrikeen. Deep down, everyone knows. If everyone stops, but either it's because of our awareness, we don't stop and we don't think about it. We may not be denying that God is our Rabb. But if we don't live accordingly, we don't get the benefits of that reality, and we are responsible for living our life as though we had no Rabb. And there is also intentional denial, but mostly it's not intentional denial. Mostly it's denial by by default, by omission of being aware and reflecting and living life consciously, taking responsibility for this life, asking, because the questions, it's not like, oh, but I didn't think of the questions. No, the questions we are made to ask the questions. It's as though the questions are asked through us, through life. We don't have to necessarily articulate them in words. When something happens and we wonder what's going on, we're asking the question whether often what we do, we just forget it very quickly, or we numb ourselves and get busy with other things because we don't want to deal with the answers. We don't want to look for answers. Because somehow we're running from responsibility, because we made up our mind that living a responsible life is not what we want to do. But actually, if we stay there and find the answer, we will find that responsibility is something very, very powerful, it's an asset. It's not something to run away from. It's maybe our most important asset, because it's the responsibility of choices. And when we don't use it, we live our life as though things are happening to me, we say. Things don't happen to us. They are offered to us, and we get to choose which path we follow. And so when we say, for instance, something like, I am angry because something happened, as if that thing out there made me by force angry, and I have no other choice. And it seems like there is no choice. Like something happened and I have to be sad, and this sadness is bad, and I can't see that sadness is an ayah as well. And if I interact with it as an ayah, I get the message and move on. No, we get something and we get angry about it for decades. And when you say, why are you angry? I say, because when I was a child, someone did this and that to me, so I have no choice. Like as if I am bound to be angry. Just get the message in that anger and move on. Like life is moving. Why are you stuck there? We say, no, you have the choice to how to respond to it, what to do with it. And so it is it's a great, we have choice and we are responsible for it. And that's what makes us human. And it's something that we thoroughly enjoy when we are aware. It makes life really, really exciting and worth living. And so the next ayah says, whereupon in their confusion they will only be able to say, by God, our sustainer, we were not mushrikeen. Behold how they have lied to themselves, and how what they invented has forsaken them. So they were lying to themselves. Like, can you imagine? So it's not like, no, I'm sure. There is no such thing. We have to be in constant, how would you say muraqaba? Like, yeah, introspection could be something like that. Self-reflection. Don't take things for granted. If you could see them when they are standing before the fire, remember in this, those who deny the Rabb, they believe in God, but they deny Him as Rabb. They have shackles around their neck, and they are the companions of the fire. So here it says, these people, if you could see them when they are standing before the fire saying, oh, if only we could be sent back again, we would not deny the ayat of our Rabb. So denying the ayat of our Rabb is very, very important. When they are right in the fire, standing before the fire, their regret is what? We go back and not deny the ayat of our Rabb. We wish we deal with everything in life as ayat of our Rabb, not as things happening. And of course, if everything is an ayah from our Rabb, I am also a abd of my Rabb. And we would be among the believers. So they have this regret. And so here, what are they saying? We would not deny the ayat of our Rabb, and so we would be among the believers. So what is the requirement or the characteristic? The character of the believer is that they do not deny the ayat of their Rabb, is that they witness and interact with everything as ayat. What are these ayat? Everything. Events, phenomena, being, my emotions, what happens to me. Everything is an ayah. Everything is a messenger carrying messages from our Rabb, reflecting His beauty, reflecting His power. He's speaking to me through those ayat. He's communicating to me the meaning of my life, the purpose of my journey in this world. This is what a believer is. So believer is not, I believe in God, full stop. Now let me, please, I'm busy with my life. I already understood that. This is not it. And it is not something that we understand once through talking about it. Something that everyone has to reflect on and actually live. That's the only way we can do it. That's the only way I can live it. It's not something to be talked about only, although we need to know and talk about it first in order to and recognize it, the ayat, when we see them in our life, and easy, everything is an ayah. And that everything will become more and more encompassing as our awareness expands. And so the next ayah, which is 628, it says, but nay, they will say this only because the truth which they used to conceal from themselves in the past, in their lives, will have become obvious to them. And if they were brought back to life, they would return to the very thing which was forbidden to them. For behold, they are indeed liars. Why? Because we've been given not 1 month to live, 1 year, a whole life with many years. And to all of us, things happen when we say, this time I'm going to take it seriously. Allah gives us those opportunities. And again, after a while, we forget and then back to the old habit of living life mindlessly. So there is no need like to go back to life, because we were given those opportunities here. We are being given those opportunities here. And of course, we are, as we are taught in this area, this situation, we are invited to go and reflect on them. So we don't have to actually go there and realize this. We can realize it here and now. And you see the compassion in letting us know, just in case you did not realize where this way of living will end, will take you. I am making the ayat clear. Can you see how he makes the ayats clear for us? The next ayah, 621, and they say there is nothing beyond our life in this world. This is why there is no hope in sending them back to earth, because this is what they believe in the bottom of their hearts. Really, what they believe is there is nothing beyond our life in this world, for we shall not be raised from the dead. This is not something that we say. We may not say it, but ask yourself, how many times do we live our life with the consciousness, with the awareness that what is happening here and now is actually flowing in the hereafter now, not, oh, later when I'm old, I will go to Hajj. When I was small, this is how I was a young child. This is how I used to hear people around me talk about Hajj. Like, why do only old people go to Hajj? Now, alhamdulillah, everyone goes to Hajj. But there was a time when only after a certain age, if you were young, they were saying, like, why are you going to Hajj now? And why? Because now we can make istighfar and repent, and now we are going to live life with piety. But piety, that piety doesn't include consciousness, because the conscious person can't say this. Because even if you, let's say you really repented truly, that will be only your 10 years. What about the others? Why would you want to waste your life? I mean, someone who says this is clearly unaware of the meaning of what he's saying. So we may not be saying this in words, but we may very well be living our lives as though there is nothing beyond now. I'm completely immersed in some, forgetting about everything else, as though I was not going to die. It was as though there was nothing else beyond. Lost indeed are they who consider it a lie that they will have to meet God. Now it's not ربهم. Till the last hour suddenly comes upon them, and they cry, alas for us that we disregarded it, for they shall bear on their backs their burdens, and how evil are their burdens. يحملون أوزارهم على ظهورهم ألا ساء ما يزرون. Very, they will carry things that they won't be able to bear. And the life of this world is nothing but a play and a passing delight. And the life in the hereafter is by far the better, because that's where we will collect the fruits of this life. This life is passing, impermanent, transient. But it may bear eternal, permanent fruits. So up to us to make the choice. And the life in the hereafter is by far the better for those who are conscious of God. Will you not then use your reason? أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. So back to the 5th ayah of Surah Al-Ra'd, it says, if you are so these are the ones who deny their sustainer. Because they deny their sustainer, they can't believe that they will be created again after dying and becoming dust. And in another ayah we know it says, whoever created you the first one will create you again. Like, why are you so amazed at it? Shackles around their necks. And it's a metaphor. What do you think it could mean? Question to the audience. To carry, these people carry shackles around their necks. Be careful, it's not that someone put shackles on them. They themselves carry shackles, and it's a metaphor. The expression is used in Arabic, and many mufassirs gave it a certain meaning.
Can it be like they don't like look around and they are not trying to see those things, something like that? And also another meaning can be they are not like bowing in front of all these facts that they see.
Could be.
Also, I think like just coming out from the retreat that you are leading, like the shackles is like all the burdens that we carry on, all those things that were supposed to be signs that we need to learn from and move on, they become our believe in them. So as if we create this heaviness for ourselves and trap ourselves in shackles. If we would have believed that it's a sign, it would not have been a shackle. Wallahu a'lam.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's interesting. And what Isra said also, as if, not looking around them, being stuck in a one way of being in the world. That could be also understood. In some of the tafsirs, the ones I looked at were Zamakhshari and Razi's. It says that all their false values, false idols, everything that they believe in, and accordingly the resulting enslavement. The ruh is not free, is not worshipping God alone, it's Rabb alone, and being the master of everything else, using everything in the name of God, but like it's waiting. If there is no Rabb, then I am at the mercy of food, I am at the mercy of the climate, of the rain, water, and that's the shackle is a metaphor of enslavement. And here it's enslavement to what they believe is their source of nourishment, sustainship, other than their Rabb. When it is one Rabb, there is no enslavement because He's the one who is creating everything for us. We become guests, not slaves. But if I imagine that I have to work hard to do this, I have to control this, I have to... So you are always in like alert, because I have to do it myself. And that belief, that perception, makes you actually the slave of what you perceive as the source of your needs. Without them, you can't survive. SubhanAllah, it's like a contradiction, because people think, I'm not going to believe in God. Why should I worship God? Because again, worship is misunderstood. You can go back to our teleconference on Ubudiyya and worship. But when you don't worship one God, who you don't do anything to, you're only does for you, then you have to worship everything else. Worship means adoring, means thinking, believing that some good is coming to me from it. And this, again, it is the result of our own perception of the world. So no one puts shackles on us, we put it on ourselves. That's the result of my own choice, my own perception. And I have the choice to perceive things in a different way. The same thing is happening. One of us is getting angry at it. The other one is trying to understand how to, for instance, one of us is focusing on the problem and getting angry. The other one is focusing on how do I solve this and how do I make my anger, since this, what is happening is making me angry, how do I cure this, heal this? So what's going on in the world is the same, but the perception is completely different. And when it says such people are the companions of the fire, there is another, it reminded me of another area when it says, of course, when it says the companions of the fire, it doesn't mean we will put them in fire. It says this route, this way of living, will put shackles on your neck, and you will find yourself in a state of fire. And this fire is a fire whose fuel is the people themselves, and in another area it says, and the stones. It says, النار التي وقودها الناس والحجارة. In another area, in Baqarah 224. And in that area, stones symbolize all objects of worship instead of God, all objects of shirk, elements of shirk. And why stones? Because they are powerless and lifeless as stones. Stones is just a metaphor, a symbol. And some commentators understood the expression that fire is a fire whose fuel is what? Your elements of shirk, your own. You are putting yourself in that state of suffering. You are the one putting the shackles on your neck. And human being, I always thought the human being themselves, which could be as well, but some also understood it as human actions. Any human action that doesn't stem from ihsan, that doesn't stem from a belief that includes meeting the certainty of meeting one's Rabb. And it says like so, remembering all of this, can you imagine you go there in Akhirah and then suddenly you realize that you did all that to yourself. You missed all the goodness yourself. All the things that you thought were bad actually was just you who insisted on not seeing what was beyond it. At least you could see that it's transient. It can't be meaningless. It must have something else. Realizing that you never looked at things as ayat, that there were other ways of living life, that in itself, that awareness and that time, you cannot get away from awareness. In this life, we have the choice of being aware or living in ghafla, in mindlessness, numb ourselves. Anyways, there is no way. Everyone will be conscious and aware, and that remembers, that realization will be the greatest suffering. That's the fire. That's what the Quran calls hell. And we know this. We have hellish-like states sometimes in our life when we realize something or we regret something. And so this description, this area, this description of this painful, I don't know how you say, the painful destiny or the painful end of those who are unaware of their Rabb, those who deny their Rabb, those who do not know that they are meeting, will meet the Rabb in the now and in the hereafter, in this life as well. When we consciously reflect on our life, we meet our Rabb in this life as well. This area, with this description, reminding us where way of living leads, is a rahmah right now, because it's waking me up again. What are you doing? Do you know where this road is taking you to? Are you still willing to or wishing to carry on this road? Can you see that this is a shaking, a compassionate shaking, a warning with rahmah?
Like the verse that says, فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
There is another ayah, Isra is saying that it says, فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? Where are you going? Here it's saying, be careful, like, with all this ayah, these people still don't believe that this is the truth. They still can deny their Rabb. How come? Can't you see the Rububiyyah everywhere? Can't you see the activities of your Rabb, everything? If you couldn't see it I'm talking to myself now, in the heavens, rivers, in the mountains, just stop and wonder at your own breathing. And if you still are not convinced of your Rabb, then you do whatever you want. And if there is a Rabb, if he's taking care of my breathing right now, then accordingly, I have to live a life that is consistent with that reality, inshallah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair, Sister Yamina. Are there any comments, questions?
I have a couple poems actually.
Please.
Well, after this lecture, I remember the verse, like, I believe it's like, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى. Whoever is able to, I don't have the English version right now, but whoever is able to clean themselves from, actually says whoever is able to clean herself or himself, they are the ones who success, something like that. So with this lecture, the understanding of this verse also, I start to think like, or misunderstandings, like for example, everything being ayah in this world, but we are not living according to that. If we are able to overcome this, we are the ones who will be also like succeeding, inshallah. And this was one thing. And also another thing I want to share is, like, a couple of days ago I was listening something, and when you emphasize on this word like rajiun, you actually contemplated on that. Rajiun means like God, like constantly. Somebody, a scholar, was actually telling about like some of the one of the old scholars, like one of the mutasawwifin, the kind of Sufi approach of Islam. I think he said, like, Beyazıt Bistami, if I'm not mistaken, he was asking this question. He said, like, when he hears this verse, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun, when he hears this verse, he was asking now. So that was also something interesting to me I wanted to share. Because when you actually ask your first question, how is your life going to be transforming if you believe in hereafter or if you believe in God? Although I listen all these lectures, like, I try to attend and hear all these things, immediately I was again thinking about like hereafter. I didn't think about like right now, and so we had a tendency to think about like hereafter is going to come after we die. But another approach, this scholar, I don't know if it's Beyazıt Bistami or was it like Niyazi Misri, one of them, he said actually, if we are like returning to God, like where are we right now? That's also another end of this, I think, spectrum. I think they were like, whoever said that sentence, my understanding was he is like with God. So he was asking like, where are we? I mean, where are we returning from? Kind of. So that was interesting. So I wanted to share, and thank you for this nice lecture.
So, Isra, when you said I thought about it in the hereafter, but it's about this life here and now, and actually it is and, because they go together and it's parallel. One is constantly pouring into the other one. Yeah. Thank you, Isra.
Thank you very much, everyone. Sister Yamina, do you have a homework for us in a particular thing that you want us to, or you might
go through the verses again from 1 to 5 and really reflect. I mean, it's a rad. It is like a thunder-like message. I don't know if you realize it, but if you go and stay with the verses, the surah start itself, the tone is like a thunder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just read and reflect and reason as it says. Just go and practice the ayat, inshallah.
And as Ramadan is soon, it's